Aloha and welcome to Wisdom Dialogues with Hope Johnson, coming to you from Hawaiian Paradise Park on the beautiful big island of Hawaii. Hooray! Yay! What are we saying hooray about? Okay, so Glenn, first thing Glenn says to us is what's happening? Pain seekers. So I got this term pain seekers. I've been talking to you guys for a few weeks about this thing called block therapy that I've been into. And you probably know if you've been following me for a long time or for even a short time. When I get into something, I just get really into it. I love that about myself. I like to check things out, and I just allow that and enjoy it. It's really fun. So something that they say over and over again in the block therapy sessions is something like we need to be pain seekers. We need to seek out the pain that's buried inside of our fascia and let it be released. Now, that's not the same as the way you seek pain with the ego. Okay, so with the ego, under the ego's guidance, you seek pain you seek pain under the guise that you're actually seeking pleasure. See, it's like you go after the same kind of relationship over and over and over again. Okay, it's like that. Um, you get hung up on the same kind of ideas about why you can't succeed, for instance. And that's supposed to make you feel better. Like, it's okay, you're a victim of something, and that's why, you know what I mean? And that's always bringing you on more struggle, more pain. This kind of pain seeking that they're referring to is actually not causing any pain. It's not causing any pain. It's bringing up the pain that's present. Pain is always fear. Okay. So there's really some good parallels here, as far as this way of seeking pain in the body to allow it to release. Like, where is it? Where is it? And basically, it's everywhere where you can't, you know, take your finger and push through to the bone, all the way to the bone. And a lot of us, we think we feel the bone, and we don't. We feel something else. It's fascia, this thick ropey thing that keeps on winding and winding and winding around and kind of choking you out. So I think it's such a good I think it's such a good parallel to, and it's a direct reflection of the way these patterns of thought that we have been conditioned to believe choke us out over time. They make us go insane over time. As a child, as a young child who hasn't been conditioned yet, you're free, you feel free. And as you go through developing with these patterns, there's all these different senses that lock you into a particular reality, to a particular way of being or mind space. Okay, it's basically like a mind space. It's like we're all on patterns of belief. Okay, or following down patterns of belief. And we want to hold this world before our eyes just because we're afraid of reality. Okay, the thought that we're separate and that we made ourselves separate makes it seem like we are not worthy of the reality that's been created for us. Okay, that's why we think we need this to stay in dreaming and forgetting we fell asleep and keeping ourselves in this dream. Okay, so in looking for, and that's basically what's going on in massage too. That's what I noticed. I've been getting massages for years and years, and I get real deep massages. I've gotten 4-hour massages, 5-hour massages, and just being aware through the massage. Okay, what is going on here? And it's like when my masseuse pushes somewhere and there's pain, I'm noticing the tension that he's pushing up against. Okay, now I can, when I notice the tension, breathe into that tension and it melts. And, people that are massaging me notice that too. They're like, wow, it's just like there's stuff there, but it just like, is I could like breathe into it and let it melt. And that's because it's awareness. You know, some people get massages and don't feel anything. They're resisting against that thing, because the reflection of the pain in the mind is held in the body. And any kind of pain that you perceive in the physical sense too is fear. It doesn't matter how that pain occurred. If like you cut yourself in the kitchen, or I don't know, you were at a game and a fly ball hit you in the face, it's the same. Pain is pain, and it comes from fear, and it only comes from your mind, no matter where it seems to be coming from. So these patterns and they're symbolic by the pain that can be accessed in the body's energy field. That's basically what's going on, because there is no body. There really is no pain. And that sense of fear is what's causing the illusion of pain and the illusion of like a block, like a wall. And I see this stuff, sense it like a block. And the glue that holds it together is meaningless. It doesn't need it, it's not justified. You don't need that glue. So then it just like it just melts away. And the same thing goes in the body illusion. And it's interesting because I just made this discovery about how that stuff melts. I've had my eye on this stuff for like, I don't know how many years I've had my eye on this stuff, just noticing things. Like, why is it that when people get older, their arms become a different shape? Like even if they're working out, I'm like, just kind of like have my eye on this stuff, and then making this discovery on how it apparently works, that this stuff that gets all sticky and binds and makes kind of like knots and spurs on the bones and everything, it actually it can be melted. It's actually pliable. It feels like it can't. It feels like it's permanent. It feels like it's there to stay in that kind of position, but it melts. It's totally pliable. It's really interesting because and that just clues me into a whole lot of different stuff too, because why it becomes pliable, because when you're breaking up those adhesions, you're getting space between the cells. So cells are naturally, they have space between them and they're buoyant, right? Now I know this is all an illusion, and at the same time it's symbolic of what's in the mind. You see that? When the cells have space, they're buoyant and they're alive and they line up where they're meant to line up in the blueprint, right? They just line up. They're happy. They're moving around. They're not all stuck and confined. So see that those stuck, confined things that show up around, all over the place, it winds. You guys, I was in the quadriceps today and felt really clearly how it's winding around the bone. And like over the years, it's just like the winding takes more hold and more hold and more hold. And that's the reason for the kind of like this as you get older. And that's the same, it's just symbolic of thoughts that are gathered. So it's accumulating. It's like accumulating over time and kind of like strangling out the joy, strangling out the innocence until, when you're all old and crotchety, innocent doesn't even seem possible. It doesn't seem like a possibility. Well, no, there's definitely ego, or there's definitely evil. It's like, I've seen it. What did you see it with? Did you see it with these eyes? Did you see it with these kind of eyes? Because these kind of eyes aren't real eyes. Okay. These kind of eyes see what you want to see. They see what you want projected back to yourself. And, it's really awakening when you offer that teaching to yourself in the moment. And really, that is the truth, that there's nothing that comes from anywhere outside of yourself. And that's the thing. It's like when you see that, you don't have to have a question about anything. And I mean when you see it, not when you just like hear me say it and you believe it. Because when you just hear me say it and you just believe it, then you have questions because you're like, why am I manifesting this and stuff like that. But when you actually see it, that it is all coming from you, you just don't have that question anymore, because there's gratitude that comes with that. There's a sense of gratitude that comes with seeing that it's all coming from you. That means anything that you seem to be perceiving is exactly perfect for you right now. So whatever it is that's in your experience receives gratitude just automatically, no matter what it is that seems to be. Okay. Now, that's not something certainly that I demand of myself. I'm not saying to demand that of yourself. It's kind of like a way of leaning in the direction of being with things in a way that is powerful, because you're exercising your dominion over the world that you made. I mean, that comes from your own mind. Okay. And it can feel troubling. It can feel really troubling. Okay. Like today I got the sense that, well, how I like my clothes, probably if you've been following me around, I like clothes, and I like to shop for nice clothes. And so I wash my clothes on a delicate cycle, and then they ended up in a big puddle of water at the end of the cycle. So I go, okay, that didn't work out. Let's try that again, because I've seen it not work before, and you just try it again. Okay, so you run it again. I don't know what to do with a bunch of soaking wet clothes like that. I guess hang them over the bathtub. That's what I eventually asked my son to do. But the thought occurred to me to try to blame someone, namely my husband. The fucking appliance doesn't work, and so I just and it is funny. It is totally funny. And I don't take it personal or anything. I know it doesn't come from me, and I know it's not about him or anything. So it occurs to me, and then in just awareness of everything comes from me, all of a sudden I want to, in that pain-seeking kind of way, have that upset feeling without projecting. See, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. If you're going like this, let's say you're going like this, let's go. Okay, you're poking it into your jaw. You're poking into your jaw. You're feeling a sensation, and instead of pulling away from the sensation, you're gonna breathe into it and just see what happens. Things might get a little bit intense, and then you just breathe into it, see what happens. Same thing as you get a trigger, you get a perception that someone's fucked up, you're feeling victimized by them, and you're staying with it, you're sticking with it. The equivalent of pulling the hand away is going into projection. So when you go into projection, put the hand back. You can even put your hand on your jaw physically, That's something I used to do all the time, as I used to just cause myself some kind of sensation physically, right? Like pinch myself. I told you guys that before, like just pinch myself so my attention can go to sensation. It doesn't necessarily have to go to that upset feeling. That is the best when it does. That's where you get through, you break through some layers. But initially, it doesn't have to go to the sensation itself, the emotional sensation. Whenever you're setting up some victim thoughts, there's an emotional sensation with that. So your attention doesn't have to go all the way through to that layer. Your attention could just go to another sensation. Your attention could just go without even, palpitating yourself anywhere. Your attention could just go to the sense of what it feels like in your big toe, for instance. You could use your nipples. What do my nipples feel like right now? If that sounds fun for you. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you shift your attention. It's kind of like a pivot of attention. You pivot over to something else. When your habit is, what you're used to doing is pulling away from that painful feeling, that what you really want to do is go through it. Because once you're through it on the other side, then you're like, and what you'll learn is that the pain is a good thing. The pain is what's showing the way. Okay. That doesn't mean you need to make pain for yourself. This is not about making pain for yourself. That's how the ego likes to think of it. Accessing the pain is a way different thing. You're gentle. You can breathe. It's not like, "Arr!" You pay attention to your face. Make sure that your tongue's at the roof of the mouth and you are smiling with closed lips. Breathing through your nose with closed lips. So, that sets up for a gentleness. And that's how to be with all kinds of pain. There's no real difference between the emotional and the physical. So when I go in and access the physical pain that's accessed through the fascia layers, I'm really accessing emotional pain. There's no other kind of pain. It's all fear. See? And none of it's personal. Okay. So your goal isn't to make it so that you've gotten all the pain out of your body. Your goal is to see that all pain is absolved everywhere in the whole world that you perceive, which comes from your mind. Yeah. Yes. Threads of bliss under the surface. That's a really good way of saying it in both respects. In both respects. It's amazing how symbolic this is for me, and how it goes along with the way I've been looking for decades. I mean, many decades. I mean, like no, that's not that many. 3. When I said many, I wanted to bust out with something like 7. I was like, how can I be that fucking old? I guess I can. So yeah, it's like it's almost like there's a net that catches you, and it's kind of like a net of pain. This is in the physical sense, and the same thing in the mental sense that I see. It's almost like a net that senses you, and it seems like it's solid and you can't move beyond that. And then with breathing, it just releases. It's the same in the mind. It's like you're looking for relief, right? And it seems like it's not possible because you're up against this like net of belief. It's like this hard net of belief. It's like a barrier that you set in place. And with breath and awareness, it's the same, just like going through the fascia. You go right through that barrier of belief. See? And then you're to a deeper place. You're to a deeper, more expansive place. And that's really how to have that awakening to where you make that shift. And I'm really happy to announce, I totally forgot about it on Friday, which was meant to be, I'm sure. But it actually occurred to me on Thursday, where a friend said, hey, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It just occurred to me, everything that you've been saying, I know what this means now. I get it. I don't ever have anything to worry about because none of this stuff is actually happening. I get it. I saw it. So here's the thing, you guys. I've been seeing this lately where my friends are starting to get it. They're going, oh, I get what you're saying. I got it. Now I don't have to play like that anymore. I just don't play like that anymore. It's just willingness over time, looking in the direction over time. Same thing occurred for me. It was looking in the direction over time. I've gone through sharing with you guys the specifics of what I was actually studying and doing and all this stuff at the time. But that kind of stuff, it's fun, but it's not relevant because whatever I seem to be doing, it's not like you can replicate that and get the same results, because everyone is equipped with a different structure of thought, a different way of understanding, of opening, of perceiving the world and perceiving themselves in shame. And basically we all perceive ourselves in shame to some degree or another. And so the teachings are going to be more specific to whatever your personality is. So whatever it is that you're drawn to, the more you allow that, the more you'll see. The more you allow whatever it is, just not questioning, just allowing. Things that you're interested in, and not putting up that resistance to why you can't. Oh, I'd really like to be doing that, but I can't because of this. Okay, that's not true. It might feel true to you right now, and that's great if it feels true to you. That's giving you an opportunity. If it feels true to you right now, that's okay. Feel what it feels like to seem like you can't do something that you think you want to do. Feel what that feels like, and be willing to go through that with the breath. All that is an emotional pattern. It's setting up your life over and over and over again. When you start to take it as, okay, it's only an emotional pattern. All the pain that you can seek and find in the body, it's only emotional patterns. What you're breathing through is always emotional patterns. Like if you fall in a hole in Kona and you bust up your foot and you're sensing a bunch of pain, same thing. Okay. So when I was going through that experience where there was a bunch of pain in my foot, I was the one who fell in that hole in Kona, apparently, on a beautiful starry new moon night. And it was not looking very graceful at all. the way I flipped off that thing was pretty funny. But I noticed that when I noticed, that the pain is fear, and just watching it move, watching that move. And I noticed a lot of pain in the lower back tailbone area initially. And it was so much, a thought occurred to me, how am I going to even lay down? This thing hurts so bad. Right. And then immediately that thought was met with the truth that it's just fear. It's just fear being manifest. So then my body trembled for like 5 minutes. I don't know. I think like 5 minutes, just trembling. And then at the end of the trembling, that pain subsided so much. I was very comfortable to lay there. I was very comfortable, it didn't matter to me if the pain maintained. It didn't matter to me if the sense of pain maintained, because I know what it's for. I know that if I'm faced with any kind of pain, number one, I'm not faced with any more pain than I can handle. A thought might tell me that, and then I might believe it, and then it would be excruciating. It's like you're in hell and you believe that thought. Pain is just sensation, and you can handle any sensation, so you're never going to get more pain than you can handle. And also that it's a blessing, that it's a blessing. It is bringing blessing. So there's gratitude for the sense of pain because of what it's for, because of what I can do with that. Not that I want to go around breaking shit and making pain for myself or anything like that, but it's that I'm not resistant to it. That's the difference. I'm just not in resistance to it. It's like whatever you need to get the perception of, you're going to get the perception of. And for the most part, people have perceptions of, like their body not working at certain times and just going through different phases. For me, I could go like all the way up to age 49 before I ever sprained anything. So it's like you're cruising along and nothing, and all of a sudden, boom. But it's just like to offer gratitude for whatever it is. And things like that, it's kind of like a pattern disruption, right? That your pattern is at that point in time, at least for me, it was oh wow, I'm like get this good feeling body to work with here, and this is fun and stuff like that. But then again, bodies can't really tell you how they feel, can they? So here I am projecting this good feeling body, and that's my pattern. And then all of a sudden there's a pattern disruption. It changes. Now it's not such a good feeling body anymore. Now it's kind of a stiff body. In fact, after after I experienced the fall, I got a lot of stiffness going on all the way up the leg, which was fun and interesting, and it is still fun and interesting. I love meeting all those things with gratitude, because then the unwinding of them is so beautiful. It's luxurious. It's actually luxurious. Just the patterns that are brought up to the surface. Now, remember, there was never any pain to the body. This is just patterns of pain brought up to the surface for the world, not just for me as an individual, for everyone. Okay. Thread of bliss, bring on the toe show. Wait till 50 shit show. Hooray. Oh yeah, you think when I turn 50 in some months, it's going to be like a shit show? People were telling me that about menopause too, though, but that didn't happen. Aloha, Cynthia. Thank you for joining. Wait until 50. I know. I don't know. I don't even really feel like it's that big of a deal anymore. I know when I was in my 30s, I was like, yeah, when I turn 50, I'm going to throw a big party. I'm going to do all this stuff. And now I'm just like, yeah, maybe I'll just sit on my porch, have a smoke. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I'm open. Maybe I'll be dancing. We'll see. As always, it doesn't matter to me. One of my friends asked me, is there anything that you still want? And yeah, I mean, I get perceptions of wanting things all the time. It's just that there's nothing that I wish to identify with that I seem to want. Okay. So that comes down to in the moment. That comes down to a choice in the moment. Like, it's not like a static thing. Like you go, no, I don't want anything. But if you go, like, ask me right now, hey, Hope, is there anything that you want right now? Like, no, I don't want anything. Right. But like I could say, I want a pedicure. I haven't had a pedicure in a while, and the mask mandate just ended. I want a pedicure. I just don't identify with it. So it can't cause me suffering if I don't get a pedicure. Or if the pedicure goes wrong. Like, say the pedicure goes wrong. I've had that happen before. I've had it happen where I asked them to buff out my toes and they didn't know what they were doing and looked like crap. Right. So that's the thing. I just use, if anything like that triggers an upset feeling, I just use that right there to extend more love. So then more love gets extended to the technician rather than condemning him. Because that pattern came up in the first place, it's allowing this miracle, this extension of love. It takes the pattern coming up, though, for the extension. So it is as simple as that, and as mundane as that, you guys. It's every single thing. So I went out today a little bit. I went over to the grocery store, the one that banned me from being there for a whole year. I'm allowed to be there again. But I didn't go inside. I just didn't feel like walking around in a store yet with my ankle. My ankle doesn't feel that great, apparently. I'm milking this thing out, apparently. So I'm sitting in the car and I'm just like watching all the people. And one interesting thing that I saw is I would say 70 to 80% of them are still wearing a mask, even though they don't have to anymore. So that was funny. But another thing that I noticed is people are serious. They just walk around all serious, like they got serious shit that they have to do. They just walk around like that. One friend asked me, are you just always like this? Because, she saw me like that a couple times, and then she kept on seeing me like that, just like happy and light. And she goes, are you just always like this? And I go, well, if I'm not, something's wrong. Wake me up quick. I'm fucking serious. I got serious. What? And that happens. I find myself getting serious. I find myself moving towards serious, like with the washer thing. I got all these nice clothes and I can see them sitting in this puddle, and the puddle is full of the dye from the clothes because they've been washed like 5 times now, because I don't know what the fuck to do to it. But now they're hanging on a bathtub. So, and I got an appliance dude coming over, but you know, but at first it was like the seriousness, but I just noticed the seriousness. I'm not hard on myself about it. Like, oh, whoa, you can't do that. You can't get serious. Just noticing the seriousness. And, I tend to not go as serious. And when I notice the seriousness, gently, not beating hope up. Come on, you dumb bitch, quit being serious, right? It's not like that at all. It's way gentle. It's the same, like, I was talking about breathing through the layers with the breath. With the breath. Relaxed, calmly. If you go back into projecting again, just bring yourself back. That's all meditation is anyways. You could say bringing yourself back. So you don't have to make it a problem that you're pursuing something that's making you serious. But notice you don't have to be serious at any time. There's nothing that requires your seriousness. And I have been practicing with that for years, and I will continue. I'll let you know if anything requires seriousness. I haven't seen it yet. But I could imagine, and that's the thing, it's all imagination. I could imagine anything. I could imagine even the most dire kind of circumstances. And I saw one that was really wild the other night on a movie. I wasn't expecting it. I was watching this movie or a show. I guess it goes on for seasons and seasons. That's not a movie. It's like a show. They're 1-hour shows. And all of a sudden, it's like this interesting show and stuff. And it gets this part where it just goes really dark, like super dark, like beyond dark, where, I'm like watching my reactions. That's what I get curious about, like watching my reactions. I'm not rushing to turn it off. I'm just like, okay, watching what's there for me. What is this? Just like noticing a fearful sense. And everyone's getting a fearful sense. Whether they know it or not is a different story, because there's a lot of resistance to knowing that you're getting that fearful sense. But when you get a visual of someone getting harmed, there is a sense in that it's happening to you. So there's definitely a reaction there, and it's a visceral reaction. So noticing the visceral reaction, that's a fear of it happening to me. And immediately it's shown to me, there's no reason why you would need to be serious, even in a situation like that. Why would you need to be serious? Okay, there's no reason to be serious. It's not like you're going to avoid any pain by being serious. In fact, that's one reason why when you just smile, if you smile while you're going through a sensation, whether that seems physical or emotional, it's all emotional. You smile while you're going through a sensation, that changes it to, this is fun. The pain, we're making it into a painful thing. We're making pain. The reason you're seeking pain in the sense of looking for it to resolve it is because it's not really there. You're holding it in place. You're looking at how you're holding it in place, kind of gluing it together with a bunch of fearful beliefs and thought structures, and melting it away. It's beautiful. It's blissful. And what's been called the thread of bliss too, can also be sensed in the body sense, through the body sense, as far as the fascia, because as it opens up, it kind of shows you how it's opening, how it's ready to open and wants to open. You can move in that direction. It's really interesting. And so, and such a trip that, it's just this tiny little, almost like a tiny little piece to it, because there's massage, but massage is more like gliding over the surface, right? Feels good. You get some relief. You got some circulation going. It kind of reminds me of like going to counseling, talking it out. You talk it out. You got some relief. Okay, we make some agreements, and I'll make this compromise, and you make this compromise, and you guys are like, thank goodness. And then you start bickering again, right? Because you never resolved any of the deeper patterns. Okay, it kind of reminds me of that. Massage is great. Gets you some relief like that. And then I find out that when you apply pressure to one area for over time without moving it, and that reminds me too of in yin yoga, where you get into a position and you hold it for the same amount of time. It's around the same amount of time, like 3 minutes. And the more you sit there and breathe and breathe and breathe, the more blissful sensations you come upon. It does take breathing through things that seem like they might be a little bit rough, a little bit challenging. And it's all emotional challenge. Like every single block you come up against, that's only an emotional challenge. Get this, you guys. When you're under anesthesia, I heard this from a doctor. When you're under anesthesia, and if you're laying there, say you're laying on your stomach, they can take your foot and put it all the way to your head, and you won't break or anything. You know why? Because your mind isn't holding it in place. It's so it's so obvious what this is. I mean, if you can go under anesthesia and be completely pliable, but when you're not under anesthesia, then you're not pliable. What does that tell you? Okay, you're perpetuating, and this is what I'm talking about, you guys. Like, I'm talking about this gripping. It's like we're gripping to try to hold these veils over our eyes so we don't see what's really here. And that's only fear of seeing what's really here, because we think if we see it, once we cast our eyes upon it, we're actually dead. Okay, we think we're actually dead as soon as we cast our eyes upon it. This dreaming is only to avoid, for a little while, we think in our mind, death. We think that this dream is helping us to avoid death. So that's why there's this gripping. The ego is so fearful. We made the ego fearful to grip to these thoughts and hold us to the illusion. And that is made manifest in the body sense through the fascia, the way it binds, and it's got all the glue. That's the same thing that's going on. We're resolving through it, and it is the same kind of visceral sensation too, kind of like where you feel energy being sent up or down in a column. You'll just feel the energy kind of move. I'll feel energy just move right out my arm when I'm practicing block therapy, or when I'm dealing with an emotion that has to do with my nice clothes getting all fucked up. Then it's the same kind of thing, but it's in more of a energetic seeming energetic sense. It's all energetic too, and energy is also an illusion. So we're making up the story that we're even suffering. And see, a lot of the times people don't realize that is suffering. When you feel upset over a sense that your clothes are getting fucked up in the washer, that is suffering. So you have to know what suffering is to be willing to see through it, right? So you got to be able to identify that suffering. See? So that's kind of like, you're seeking that pain. You're seeking that particular pain. Wait a minute, that's suffering. I want to know about that. You let yourself feel that suffering without projecting it. And you don't have a choice. If you're not projecting it, you're feeling it. If you're projecting it, you're not feeling it, you're repressing it so that it could come around again. Ultimately, you're just laughing about things, everything. But the way the ego would have you look at something like this is like you're grading yourself. Like you shouldn't get triggered. Like, I don't want to get triggered today. You know, it's like the triggers are coming. You can't avoid them. But the more you try to avoid them, the more of a pain they're going to be. The more they're going to seem like they're antagonistic to you, like, oh, I can't handle another trigger today. I'm just on alert for those things. Like, where are they? Because I know they're coming. Oh, the laundry's fucked up. Okay, I know it's coming. It's good. The thoughts that whirlwind around, the way I react to the thoughts. And you know, that isn't even really me reacting. That's a structure of thought I made with the ego. The reacting isn't even personal like that. I just watch the reaction because all the action is in the observation. So I watch the reaction. It's kind of like taking a step back again and again and again. So I'm watching this reaction, and then there's a sense of getting identified with the reaction. Then I'm watching that identification. I don't have to unidentify myself. I just keep on going back, take another step back. I'm watching the identification with the reaction. Maybe I'm watching another projection over that. Maybe I'm watching another projection over that. I just keep on going back. Never succumbing to be somewhere in one of those projections up and down the line. No matter how far it goes with projections trying to hook me into that, I'll just keep on moving back and watching it. Had an interesting story, question, probably comment from a friend online talking about, and I know this is something that goes on like around the spiritual communities a lot about, you know, you just, well, the reason you seem to not have enough is because you don't know how to receive. You know, you got to focus on receiving. And you know, just that focus on receiving is as if you already do not have. So I saw that, I was like, wow, yeah, that's not gonna go where you want it to go. That's not gonna go where you want it to go. That's not really what you're looking for. That's kind of like looking with the ego, you know, you don't need anything. That's the thing. It's like you're getting a sense that you need something, and you're getting a sense that you can ask for something. Guess what? You can't ask for anything. You can get the perception of yourself asking for something. It's not meaningful in any way. It doesn't mean you need something. See? So when you get the perception of yourself asking for something, if you know that perception of you asking is coming from also a sense that you don't actually need it, that's a completely different energy. Then you're opening it up for healing. Then you're more like focused on healing instead of focus on trying to get something in the world. And believe me, I know this is not easy. Okay, I'm not saying it's easy. Gosh, if you think you don't have enough money for food or something, and you know, I've been in that situation myself. It's just that, you know, for me, my experience was I was just always so trusting. I always just saw it come. I always just knew it was coming, even as a kid. And as a kid, that's where I experienced the most poverty, the most, you know, seeming like, you know, we don't have money and stuff like that. But then we would just like go out and witness or something, and money would come, you know, easily. But being in a situation, and one that I don't have an experience of in this lifetime, is being in a situation where you actually believe that this is a dire situation. You don't trust that everything is perfect for you exactly as it is right now. Okay. I don't know that so well when it comes to something like that. I do, in the sense, you know, I have a bunch more money than just a little bit and don't have any food and that kind of stuff, but being worried if I'm going to maintain that same sense. So I can definitely tell you being worried that I'm not going to be able to maintain that, but not like, oh, am I going to get hungry and die or something? So I know this isn't easy. Okay. And whatever occurs on the surface is unfolding already. So you don't have to burden yourself with that at all. Whatever you need to ask will be asked. You know, trust in that. That's a huge gift to the world. You're trusting in whatever you need to ask for will be asked for. And you won't know what you need to ask for until you're asking it. And you know, when you're looking at all this, even the sense of poverty with gratitude, then you can offer yourself, you know, you can offer yourself to the moment, giving all of it to the moment, meaning all of your attention, all of your love to the moment. And then that's what you receive. You don't have to learn how to receive that. One of my friends said it's like an echo. Yeah, it's like an echo. You don't have to learn how to receive that. If you put it out, you're going to hear the echo. Washer repairs are coming. No choice in that. Yes. That is why we're here. The joy of being together. Yes, that's right. Without an agenda. See, the ego always has an agenda. Like I have a reason to be here. Like if I show up at the grocery store, I have a reason to be at the grocery store. No, I don't have any reason to be here. I don't have any meaningful reason to be here. I have a pretend reason to be here. There's nothing meaningful about that reason. All it did was give me some direction. It gave my mind some direction where to send the energy. I almost said send my body, but the body doesn't go anywhere. It's like sending energy of attention in different pathways of thought, which has nothing to do with space. It's just sending energy of attention. So it's like, oh, I need some cheese or something. Oh, the thought occurs to you, I need some cheese. Next thing you know, you're in the car, you're going to the store. It seems like you need some cheese. You don't need any cheese. You don't need anything. You don't need anything from the store. That's why it was easy for me when I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to go places where they want me to wear a mask. I don't need anything from those places. Easy. I haven't been thinking I needed something from those places in a while. Hey, Akea, my daughter joined. Akea, yay. She's got her hand up. This is so cute. She's coming on. Hi, sweetie. How are you doing? Where are you? How come I don't hear you? Ask to unmute. Okay, I asked you to unmute. Okay, anyways, as soon as you learn how to unmute, talk. Okay, has been listening to Wisdom Dialogue. She told me she'd been listening to it at work too. She just went off, so she's probably going to come back. I think her connection maybe wasn't working. Unless it's me doing that. Let me see. No, my volume's on. I've done that before. I can't hear you. What's wrong with you? And then I got them muted. Come to find out. What, you don't know how to work your electronics? She's back. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I didn't give her permission to access my microphone, and I had to get out of it and go to the settings, and then it kicked me off.
You want to go on video too?
Can I do that?
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to promote you. That's what it's called.
Okay.
Okay. This is my daughter, everyone. You probably heard me talk about her before. She's over in Minnesota.
Did it work? Because I can't.
I can hear you.
Oh, you just hear me? I'm not on video.
Oh, the video. Let me see if I could make the video go on.
I don't have to be, but
No, I can't make it go on. If I make you host, then you can. I'm changing you to the host.
oh
The
wow.
only way you can go on video. I had to ask them about that. I'm sure there's a setting for it. That's hilarious.
That's fun. I just tried to call you and I was because apparently I've been trying to get a hold of you for a while.
You have?
I guess so.
I didn't even know that.
I was like, oh yeah, I'll try to call my mom again today. Then I was like, oh, she's doing Wisdom Dialogues. I'm gonna go on there.
You just go on Wisdom Dialogues and talk to me. That's awesome.
I really wanted to say hi.
Thank you. Thanks for joining and thanks for listening. You're so awesome.
I've been listening for 8 hours a day, roughly.
8 hours a day? What are you, because you're at work?
Yeah, I do it all day at work.
So I do about 4 hours a week. You're gonna run out at some point.
I know.
Then what, you start over?
Over again. People at work are like, what the fuck are you listening to? They're like, who's laughing? That sounds like you.
That's awesome.
It's my mom's Wisdom Dialogues. They're like, okay. I'm like, well, it's basically where she just tells you that none of it's real. Okay, by the way.
Okay, it loves it.
It's really good for that office too. They need that shit.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and I take some Palo Santo sticks and I put it around the whole office.
Nice.
And diffuse essential oils in there.
Yes. Bringing the Miracle Botanicals and the Wisdom Dialogues to a galvanized steel manufacturer, right?
Yeah, they galvanize steel. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
But
So do you have a question for me? Oh, good.
But I was just saying, just a lot of people that are really in that work mindset and hating being at work. Just
Oh,
like,
yeah, that's a hard one, huh?
and I talk about how things are fun, and they're like, "Yeah, you're not using that word right." Like,
oh.
oh,
That's awesome.
yeah.
You are fun. Okay, thanks for bringing fun to all the seriousness. I appreciate that, honey.
Yeah, it's really fun.
And after Wisdom Dialogues, we'll have a telephone call. How about that?
That sounds awesome.
I'm excited about it. Yay.
Yay, I love you.
I love you too, honey. Aloha.
Aloha.
All right, I'm reclaiming my power as the host. Let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna leave you on there in case you want to come back on. You already silenced yourself. Ah, yay. So good to hear from my beautiful girl, Akea from Minnesota. So with giving and receiving not being separate, it always comes back to how can I give more of myself? You only have what you have to give, and that's yourself. Okay, that's not anything in the world. Doesn't mean anything in the world. You can find yourself giving away your stuff if or not. Doesn't really make any difference. None of that stuff is meaningful. But giving of yourself in the moment completely That's when you know that you're receiving what you deserve to receive. And you don't need to ask for anything. But if you find yourself asking for something, it doesn't mean that you need that thing. You're just knowing that you don't need that thing. And in knowing that you have no need for it when you're asking, that's a gift. The asking is giving, right? The asking itself becomes giving because the asking is without any obligation. In the asking, there's joy that's not going to be disturbed, whether it's yes or no, or where it leads or anything like that. So it just comes back to that. Don't give so much meaning to what you think you see. You may think you see that you are completely out of money and got no way to get food or anything. Rejoice in that sense. And through the sense of whatever it is, if there's hunger, you can imagine what it is. Even that is another thing. Like you can imagine you're hungry, you don't have any way to be. Can you find the peace of God? So like right now, can you relax more and be present for what the moment brings? Look, there's no way your life can be going in the wrong directions. There's no way you could be getting the wrong manifestation for you as far as what you need right now. And you are dreaming. The more you laugh through dreaming, the more you lighten up the dream. See, and that's really what you want. That's what it's called. That's why it's called enlightenment. It's like you're lightening everything up. You don't have these impediments that you wish to keep. You keep on wishing to keep impediments, like something that says that's not good enough. Anything that's serious. That's one really easy way to see it. Just like anything, is that a serious sense? Is something like wrong? And that's the thing. Our mind is conditioned to find problems, which is not a problem. So that means you can observe a perceived problem without it being a problem for you, because that isn't a problem for you. It's an apparent problem in the world, which is only meant to be directional. That's only, every apparent problem in the world is only meant to be directional. It's for the play. So when you don't get all entangled, you don't get all caught up in that directional thing, thinking that it means something, that it's real, then you've got dominion over it and you can see things kind of like soften and fall away. These problems, these perceived problems, the things that you're making problems, fall aside. Just with that gentleness of being with it. Okay, this is for emotional release. Let's just say today we could say it's all for emotional release. Same thing, right? Yeah, the washer repairs are coming. Apparently they're coming tomorrow. And what if they're not coming? See, that's the thing too, because there was a sense like my husband didn't want that to happen. He wanted to get something else, do something else. And so we kept on trying different things. And it's like, what if that doesn't happen tomorrow? And then there's just like another opportunity. See, with each one of those thoughts that comes around and tells you something's wrong, it's another opportunity to establish in your mind that it's not possible for anything to be wrong, that this appearance of something being wrong is actually a blessing. This appearance of, hey, what the fuck is this lump? What is this lump that seems to be right here in my body and it wasn't here before? What the fuck is this? And a willingness to be, I don't care if that's like a cancer lump, a fascia lump, a fucking big pimple, a herpes lump, I don't know. Doesn't matter what it is, your willingness to relax with that. Especially when you got something about the body sense, that just speaks to death so strongly to you. Like, oh my God, it's changing. This thing is changing. It's turning into this now. Yeah, it's changing to reflect a lifetime of accumulating doubt. It's accumulating self-doubt. It's changing to reflect that. That's the changes it's making. The aging kind changes. And it doesn't have to be that way. Anyone can decide in any moment that they're not going to go for it. I'm not going to go for that kind of energy. Look, you could feel that that energy is aging. You know, the first time I noticed an association as far as like a sense in the body with aging, I was only about 19 years old, maybe 18 years old. And I worked for a doctor. The doctor had all kinds of drugs in his office, you know, and I thought I wanted to lose weight. So the doctor recommended that I take these diet pills. Okay. Come to find out later, they were actually meth. You know, I wasn't like looking on ingredients and stuff. I worked for a doctor, and if he told me to take a pill, I would take the pill, right? He knows, he's a doctor. That's the way I was conditioned. So I didn't look on the ingredients or anything, what was in those pills, but come to find out it was meth. So I think I took them for maybe like 3 or 4 days. But in those days where I was taking them, I got a sense, and I was only like 18 or 19 years old. I got a sense that taking those was aging me. And, you know, to kind of explain that sense to you, it's a sense of busyness. It's a sense of the jaws getting tight. It's a sense that things are clamped down, right? It's like a clamped down kind of sense. It's like making things rigid. I could sense a rigidity come over me. And, you know, and once I noticed that sense, I start noticing it in just the way I'm with things. Am I with it in a relaxed and comfortable way, or am I with it in a way that's like tearing me back? You know, it's like you could tell how you're with a certain situation. Say there's a person who's demanding that you succumb to whatever their demands are, and they're living close to you, so they're all on top of you. They're telling you they want you to do stuff all the time. You know, I have a friend who experienced that recently, and he's driving around, and the person's like stopping him and going, hey, you know, you got to do this and stuff. Say you got a situation like that going on. The situation, what it comes back to is, the truth is, the situation isn't happening. It's just you on an emotional journey reacting to the reflections of your beliefs. That's all it is. The situation, when you take the situation completely out of the equation itself, the person, the situation, what they seem to be demanding of you, take that completely out of the equation, then you're just watching how you're making these illusions true for you and make them seem like they are threatening to you. Why do I have to live like this? And like you're a victim. You know, these are the kinds of thoughts that just circle around in the mind. They don't mean anything. You can take a situation like that with a sense of purpose. Oh, this gives me purpose. Oh, this is perfect. I could tell this gives me purpose because I'm getting a sense of a triggered reaction. That's how I know it's giving me purpose right now. That's exactly what I need for healing this situation that's got me sensing that I'm in a body and I'm around a bunch of other people in a body, and we're all on a trajectory toward decay, decrepitation. I mean, come on. I don't even know if I just made that word up or what it is. Yeah. All shriveled up and shit. Gosh. Hilarious. It's hilarious what we try to make of ourselves. Fucking images. So I've been watching those images and you know, for years, and just seeing how they are just kind of like winding up in the mouth too. The mouth is winding up. It's like winding up. It's getting the whole thing, the whole head's coming in and everything getting smaller. That's why old people are so small. They have little tiny heads. That whole thing freaking winds right around, you know, it's like, the teeth start getting all, the whole jaw starts going all crazy and stuff. And that's just that's just symbolic. It wouldn't look like that. It doesn't need to. It's just symbolic. It's a symbol of something. And see that the problem is not in the physical as it seems. And the exercises and everything like that seems to be addressing this physical, but it's not. It's way different from that. It's like you use it, you go through that, but you use that for unwinding what you made. There's nothing you can do physical to unwind what you made. There's absolutely nothing that you can do physically to unwind what you made. You can only do it mentally. And you can use illusions to bring up what you want to see through, but you can't use illusions to just resolve it for you. And one thing is too, it's like as you're moving through these adhesions in the physical sense, one thing that's cautioned is you can't just go back and start repeating those old patterns again and expect them not to glue right back together again. It's not like, oh, okay, we freed that up, now we're done with that, that's all over. No, it's like once you open it up, you get the sense of a different spaciousness, a different awareness, but then even more alertness has to come in so that you're not clamping back down in that same kind of and that same kind of pattern. And really you can see by paying attention to how you're held in the body sense. And that's something that I've done for a long time. That's why I could tell you guys, like a few months ago, I was going, what? The more I look, the more I see this thing is twisted. This thing is twisting around. Like the ribs are doing something, like it's subtle, but the more I look, I'm seeing like this thing is twisting around. So, you can't just manually untwist it like, and then you're good. I mean, look, when you're knocked out and you don't have any consciousness, your feet go all the way to your head. And then you don't mind at all. You're like Gumby, right? But when there's consciousness, there's pain to try to do something like that. Those are indicative of mental barriers. As soon as there's consciousness, it's like the mental barriers all of a sudden are in place for that particular form. Isn't that astounding? It's like all of a sudden you're like the most flexible yogi ever. You lost consciousness. Pretty wild, but not surprising at all. Not surprising at all. I've been looking at the science for this stuff for lots of years, and it's really the way the consciousness is being projected into the body sense. Reading the work of Bruce Lipton and how he's seeing that there's these receptors on every single cell, and the receptors are receiving information. And it's like, where are they receiving information? Because wherever they're receiving that information from, that's what's making everything the way it seems to be. Whatever information is being fed to that surface of the cells is making everything the way it seems to be. That was what his finding was. And he freaked out. If you know what I'm talking about, he saw that and made that connection, and he all of a sudden became like kind of like a religious guy. He's like, well, something is making these things perform. It's not coming from inside of the body. Something is making these things perform, basically. So that's your mind. That's your mind projecting it. There's no reality to it whatsoever. If you go into seek the pain in the physical sense, keep in mind that there is no pain there. That is a manifestation of fear. And enjoy, because it's juicy It's juicy good. I like it very much. Anything that allows a greater sense of release, silence, awareness, that's serving you. Look at it as a luxury, because, you know, it is in this world, the way that we have conditioned ourselves. So many of us believe that we don't even have the time to take a breath. And that's what I see on, you know, people walking around the streets. It's like there's a sense like you don't get to have fun. Like you can't have fun right now. And it's all for fun. We're just, you know, we're just children. We're just like children who have been wrapped around with a bunch of beliefs. You know, we've been taught that this is true, and this is true, and this is true. And then we defend our beliefs. We decide they're our beliefs and defend them. And that's all that makes us sad. He's walking around all sad because it's like as if this thing is real and what we made of it is true. You know, it's a pattern disruption, just throwing a person in there that likes to have fun. I'm sure that happens several times throughout the day. It just disrupts, it just discombobulates everything. Just being happy and wanting to have a good time. I'm here for a good time. I'm here for the beer, so to speak. Seems like I'm here for this, but I'm really not. Seems like I'm calling tech support for this, but I'm really not. I just started joking around with a person today when I was calling for the washer dryer thing. But I called the first time and then I wasn't sure I really wanted to get a repair. And then I said, okay, well, I'll call back. And I called the second time. And the person that answered the phone said the exact same thing as the one who answered the phone the first time. And they say a lot, and it's kind of conversational, like they're actually like talking to you, right? They say a lot, but it was the exact same thing. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that you just said the exact same thing that the person said when I called last time. Are you reading something? She's like, oh my God, yeah. And you know, we just started having fun about it. You know, you're actually reading. She said, yeah, I have to say all this stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, you know, I never doubted you were an actual person. And not AI on the other side. You know, just really, you're creative. You're creative without any kind of limit. So it doesn't matter what situation you find yourself in, you can laugh in it. You can have fun and you can laugh at it. And you know, my daughter Akea is on here right now, and she says she loves it. She sent a family text today saying that she loves it when I talk about her on Wisdom Dialogues. Yeah. So Akea is one really good example of someone who can laugh in a situation where things seem to be troublesome. And you know, we all have our moments, right? We all have our moments. So we might perceive ourselves totally falling apart in one moment, or just like totally like a blubbering whatever in one moment. But when you are needed to step up and be the light, you will. You are. Okay. So when you're needed for that, you will be used in that way. If you find yourself blubbering and stuff like that, you're also being used in that way. So either it is a miracle, right? Either it's a miracle, you're making a miracle, or you're learning a lesson. They're both equally great for you. Making a miracle or learning a lesson. They're both equally awesome for you. And the more you're willing to see through those illusions, like you're falling apart, the more you're going to learn. And the more you learn, the less you're going to even be able to fall apart. I mean, like, you know, sometimes I just notice the temptation to do it. But it's just like too dumb, too gay is one way. Too gay. I can't go there. You can't go to that one. You know, it has to like, give me a good grip. Give me a, you know, something good that's it's really juicy and I can like really believe in it. Like I don't know how long ago it was. I guess it was like a month ago now, where I got that sense that I was sad about my dad abandoning me. Now that was juicy. I was like, okay, now here's something I can get into for a minute, because then pretty soon it was like, okay, that's enough. I'm not really sad about that. You know, but for a minute, I didn't want to hear that I didn't want to hear the teaching that I'm not really sad for the reason I think. I'd rather hear the teaching that, oh, you poor baby, your dad abandoned you? That's sad. You know, that was the teaching that I was drawn to for a moment, and that was good for me because it's a lesson. It shows me that there's no way abandonment is possible, for one. Shows me that very clearly, because there's no there's no dad. There's actually no dad. That's what's funny. Like the relationship and the experience and the love and all of that, that's the real lasting thing. The true relationship, which is just love. Doesn't have any kind of heartbreak or upset or anything like that. And, you know, just the gratitude for him, like having me set him up. It's just kind of like a dorky dude, you know, like in my life. And it seems like he doesn't really know how to like have relationships with people, but he really likes to go witnessing and stuff like that. And just an interesting character. And wow, I'm like so grateful for having a dad like that, and a parent dad like that. And the sense of connection that comes with, oh, he's just a character. He's played this character for me. Because then there's not this role that he's supposed to play a certain way. And that's where all the relief is. It's like, oh, thank goodness. Just because he's the guy who seems to be my dad doesn't give him any kind of role or any kind of way to be for me. It's perfect that I made him into having some kind of obligation that he should be some certain kind of way for me. And then he played out that role for me. And there's such sweetness in that. Now that there's no sense of a body, I sense him all the time. It's like I hear his voice talking to me in a very encouraging and loving way. Not saying he's sorry or anything like that. He knows there's nothing to be sorry for. He might say he was sorry, though, if it was someone who needed to hear they're sorry, that he's sorry. If the person needed to hear that he's sorry, he might say he's sorry. I don't need to hear that he's sorry. He's not sorry, because from the perspective that he's at, he knows everything was perfect, and he knows how much I love and appreciate him. So he doesn't have to try to make any kinds of amends with me. And I'm just glad that shit came up so I could see it while I still am burning through a life. Basically, that's what it seems like to me too. It's like you're burning through a life. It's almost like a candle. You're burning, as you're burning through this thing, as the amount of time it has is dwindling, dwindling, dwindling. Take advantage. Because passing through that birth canal again is no walk in the park. Death is the easy part, actually. It's passing through that birth canal again. You're like, what the fuck? And then you seem to forget it, but you never really forget it. Gonna try that gummy move tonight on the wife. I'll tell her you told me it works. Okay, good one, Glenn. You go for that. All right. Every decision I make is a choice between a grievance and a miracle. I let go of grievances and choose miracles. Yes, that's one of the lessons from ACIM. Thanks, Bob. Are you going through the process? Are you going through ACIM today? I'm curious if that's what lesson you're on, because that definitely sounds like a lesson. Every decision I make is a choice between a grievance and a miracle. I let go of grievances and choose miracles. So that's basically, in the moment, that's all there is. And that's giving all. That's giving all of it. Just choosing a miracle over a grievance. That is giving all of it. You are receiving right away. There's nothing else. As soon as you're thinking you've done it wrong, or you're questioning whether you've done it wrong, you are clamping down. It's like you're blocking the flow of energy. You're giving less than all. I just talked about choosing miracles. Oh, okay. That's why you posted that. Okay, good. I like it. Yeah, I was just wondering if you're on that. Just curious. So you're only making a decision. Is it a blessing or is it a threat? And based on the decision you make, that's going to be how it is for you. And that's going to be your projection going forward as you burn through this candle of a life. And then through the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And there's only one. There's really only one. Even the illusory life, there's one life. There's no time. There's no this reincarnation bullshit. We just keep it on imagining something that's perpetually moving forward in time. We're perpetually imagining this thing. So it's not like we want to get serious about this. And we can't help the trajectory that we're all on as far as the direction that we're looking in right now. So there's nothing that you can do better. And I think that is the best, because it's like, okay, look, in this moment, there's nothing that you can do better. And if there's anything that you need, well, let's say there's nothing that you need to learn how to do better unless you're learning how to do something better. Right? Then that thing that you seem to be learning how to do better, you need to learn how to do that better, because it's what you're doing in the dream. So see what I mean? How you're looking at things like this? This is perfect for me. That doesn't mean you can't change your mind in the next moment and then it's not perfect for you. Doesn't mean you're stuck to it. Doesn't mean you have to go through with it. Doesn't mean you have to carry through with your commitments, so to speak. The only commitment that's meaningful is the commitment in this moment to choose the miracles. That's the only commitment that can possibly be meaningful. And that's the same as willingness. I have some friends, Crunchy and Rory, you guys might know, some of you might know them. They went for aircrete, and I guess they're getting their ass kicked. They're learning how to do aircrete, which is a bunch of construction shit that these guys aren't necessarily used to. So they were getting the sense, like, first they got the sense like they missed the class because they were just like, we got to just chill out. Can't go. Too much. They missed the class, and then the sense of guilt. So, all that stuff is perfect. You can't help that you miss a class, even. You can't help that you miss the class. So see how that just cuts out a bunch of chatter? All of a sudden, all you got to deal with is this guilty feeling about the sense that you missed the class. That's all you got to deal with. It's not a big deal. There's a guilty feeling. Take that, what I was talking about, detachment. Let the guilty feeling be there. Feel the guilty feeling. That's the pain. That's your pain. You're accessing your pain. See, repressing your pain looks like, okay, I got to get better at this. I got to be on time. I made a commitment. And you're pursuing that line of thinking. That's repressing the pain. You don't want to feel it. That's why you're pursuing that. It's as if you did it wrong and you can do it better. That's how you repress pain that way. So you don't know how it's going to go. You could be quitting that job or that whatever commitment thing that you have next week. Could be quitting that next week. But either way, if you're taking care of your feelings and you're using those feelings to access the pain rather than repress the pain, then you're going to see through some stuff. And at one point, it's been happening for my friends lately. I get so excited when another person tells me, oh my goodness, I get it now. I had the experience. There's no denying the experience. It's a visceral experience. It's kind of like how I'm talking about, when I'm doing some therapy, like some block therapy, where rushes of energy will go out my arm or something, or a rush of energy down my leg. I don't know if you guys ever felt something like that in massage or anything like that, but when you're dealing with an upset feeling, okay, when you're dealing with any upset feeling, it's the same thing. When you're willing to go through it, you'll actually viscerally feel the energy, the heavy energy, kind of like leave the body sense, just like gone. You can feel it. You get the sense of it. All the feelings are being projected by you. And when you get that sense of relief, and you get that sense of relief in the thinking, that's basically what you're getting. You're getting a sense of relief in the thinking when you have an upset feeling that's alive in you, but you're going to just sit there and be with it. So simple. Rather than pursue a thought structure, rather than try to help yourself, you're just going to be with the feeling. That's the most you can give to all right now. And you are going to be the recipient of the blessing of that from that immediately. It's what you deserve, and it's what everyone else deserves. We all have the same interest. We all have the same goal. In everything we do, we just want to be happy. We just want to know what's true. But we put up fearful barriers. So we think we don't want to know what's true. Sometimes I'll start talking and I could see the barrier just go up right away. I just won't push it any further. A lot of the times I don't have a choice in that. Sometimes I will find myself pushing, and I'll just watch. I'll just be aware of that. If you find yourself pushing, it's not, you shouldn't be pushing. Watch and be aware of what it feels like to push. What it feels like to try to use force, try to force your idea in or force your way in. Notice what that feels like. It's very different from, you shouldn't be doing that. It's very different from laying a judgment on yourself when you're just watching how it feels. Any kind of habit that you think that you would like to change. Watch how you feel in it. Not to try to get it to change though. Not to try to get the habit to change. Just to notice how you feel, to get better at noticing how you feel when you seemingly make choices. Because behind every single choice, behind every single choice that you seem to make in the world is guidance by either the spirit or the ego. And it's not a matter of right or wrong choosing or anything like that. Behind all of those choices is guidance, because you don't make any kind of choices. We've talked about that a lot of the times. But all of the choices that you seem to make are guided. And they come from that guidance comes from one guide or the other. And there's no way to assess on the surface of things, if you just take what you seem to do or what you seem to choose, which side that one came from. It's no way like that. It's not like that. It's just that whatever you seem to choose in the moment, you are choosing with guidance from the Holy Spirit or the ego. And you know, because of the way you're holding it, you can say, because of the way you're holding yourself in relation to it. If you're making it out as if that choice you are making is meaningful, that's guidance of the ego. You see how it's mental? If you're making it out as if the choice you're making is meaningful, that's the ego's guidance. Just that sense, like either way I go, it's all the same. Oh my gosh, the freedom. All these choices, and any of them I make, they all go the same way. This is awesome. You can't make it go any different from getting exactly what you need in every situation. You've never made a wrong decision. You know how much time people spend trying to imagine how their life would have been different if they made a different decision earlier on? What a waste of time that is. No, there is no different direction that you could have gone. And coming up, there's no different direction that you could go. All the choices that you seem to make are for entertainment only. So you can't judge by the choice you seem to make in the illusion whether that was guided by spirit or ego. You can tell only in the moment by how you feel and what movement you're making with look at how you move as you feel. Watch. It's a moving, changing thing. If you tune into how you feel as you're going about your life, you're going to start seeing how there's certain patterns that you jump on where you're really beating yourself up. You're telling yourself things that are making you age fast. I could feel it. I could feel it when I'm telling myself a story like that. And you know what? There's moments where I just can't help it. I'm like in the story. I seem to be in the story. And I don't mind that though. And so I come right back out of the story really fast because it's a moment. It's just a moment. Everything's passing. One of my friends shared that he's going through some emotional stuff and he's been scarred so bad that he's never going to be able to come back from it. That he's never going to be able to get over it. And, you know, that's a really interesting teaching because that's exactly what the ego is teaching. And that's also exactly the way we seem to hold ourselves as we go through this imaginary life. Like we never got over that shit. That's why we're holding it. That's why we're holding ourselves out of place. That's why we can't stand straight. That's why our knees hurt and stuff. It's like we're holding ourselves out to be something completely different than what we are made to be, what we're created for. So that causes pain. Normally there's pain at the beginning, although, I can't be sure, but having a painless childbirth with Braun, I'm guessing that it seemed like a lot of that relaxed kind vibes transfers over, so they don't have to be so stressed out because if you look at it, it's like a child's just picking up on the patterns. They're just picking up on the patterns, kind of like it's kind of like they land in this soup, energetic soup, right? And they're just absorbing, absorbing, absorbing. So if the mom's freaking out and screaming and in a bunch of pain, it's like these kinds of sensations are passed down. And we talked about before, there isn't any such thing as pain. There's only fear. So if the baby isn't picking up on any fear, perhaps it's no big deal to go through that canal. If I, as the one giving birth, could get the sense that there's no pain in this whole thing going down, then I'm guessing the child can too. But I'm also guessing it'd be very traumatic if I'm passing down all that kind of information about how scary it is and how horrible this is and how painful it is. The experience may be the same, passed down. I don't know, but I'll tell you what, my son Braun, and he's the one I had a painful childbirth with, that guy is chill. He's like really chilled out. He's one chill little dude. He's just happy, but easeful, an easeful happy. Just a sense of I'm good, contentment, not needing a bunch of stuff. So he just had his birthday and he turned 14. He asked for a chocolate cake and some ribs. So we got that going for him. And didn't get him any presents because I couldn't think of one thing. Nothing popped into my mind that would be where he would go, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I like this thing, because when he wants something, he just asks for it. So I asked him, I think it was this morning, I go, so how'd you like not getting any presents for your birthday? He goes, yeah, it's cool. I go, I was thinking maybe you'd like a bank account. That sound fun for you? He goes, yeah, that's cool. just just real chill, and tell you exactly what he wants. I want a cake and I want this, and no people over. You want anything for your birthday? Can't think of anything. Okay. Simple. And I went to the theater on Braun's birthday. My friend Jerry picked me up and took me to the theater, and I watched a show. I think it's called Avenue Q. Yeah, that's the name, Avenue Q. And it was a fun comedy. One of the songs that the skits they performed is called "Everyone's a Little Bit Racist." It's right there in Hilo. They're playing it right there in Hilo. It's funny because I was throwing that thing out there maybe a couple months ago or something like that. Well, hey, this nigger stuff is stupid. Like this doesn't mean anything, it's just like for making controversy and making people feel separate and threatened by one another and stuff like that. All of what you need to make capitalism go, right? So so I've been throwing that one out there and kind of feeling like I'm the lone voice that has balls to throw it out there. But then I see this play, and I guess it's a Broadway play, and it's been going for a little while. And they're talking about, hey, everyone's a little bit racist. It's like we're all a little bit racist if you want to put it that way. It's like it's not like I'm not going to give you a job because you're a certain color or something like that, but it's like like for instance, the other day I was talking about how our emails just got really way more professional for Miracle Botanicals, right? They used to be a little bit what I call Mexican. And, that might sound racist, and maybe it is. But it's not like it's not like it means anything. This stuff doesn't mean anything. We all do this, and it's not a big deal. That's the thing. It's not like, oh, you're racist. You know what I mean? And it's like, uh, when I say it's Mexican, like that has like a big freaking thing for me, because I grew up in California and I lived around a bunch of Mexicans, and I saw how they did things. Saw how they painted their house and stuff. There was a Mexican way of doing things. And these things aren't a problem. It's not like we're attacking the person for it. It's just that you can sense the vibe. You can even communicate it with the person. You say, like Mexican kind. Oh, okay, I know what you mean. It's not good or bad. It's just a certain way. It's a certain vibe. It's a certain culture. It's a certain it's a certain structure. It's a certain thought process. And just like trying to pretend like we're all like following the same patterns, and we're all like coming from the same culture and everything like that. It's like, man, just let us be different and be normal. Being different, like be normal with being different. It's cool. We're all funny. We're all funny and silly. We can make fun of these things. Making fun. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. I guess last night they were doing the Oscars. Did you hear about that, Ann? They're doing the Oscars. Oh, they did the Oscars last night. I don't have any TV. I didn't even know that thing was coming out, but I heard the story in the morning. My son told me about it. How one actor, Will Smith, bitch slapped another guy, Chris Rock. They're both actors, right? Like at the awards, like Chris Rock is on the stage giving a presentation and making jokes, and he makes one joke about Will Smith's wife, and then Will Smith walks up there and bitch slaps him while he's on stage. Now that was an interesting story because looked like it was staged. Yeah, I saw the video. It definitely looked like it was staged. And then the same guy who like totally went up and bitch slapped one guy, right? Next thing you know, he's receiving an award for best actor. And he's like totally justifying himself for bitch slapping that guy a couple minutes earlier. It's like, so now here's the conditioning. Now, and this is what's being broadcast to the people, basically. The conditioning being broadcast to the people. It's perfectly acceptable that if someone makes a joke about you, to just like do violence to them. That's what you should do, because that's what people who protect their families do. According to the situation there. Yeah, that's what people do. If someone says something that offends you, just go up and like do some violence to them. So it's just like obvious right away. It's like, okay, that's yeah, they're not getting that much attention. They want some attention, and let people know that that's how you handle things now. Just start slapping folk around. It's good stuff. It's all for fun. And you know what? It's all coming from one mind. So even when we see the conditioning, like the conditioning of the world, it's fun to see. Like for me, it's just fun for me to see. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a good one. But the way one person put it, and I don't believe any of this bullshit. I don't get tripped off on any of this crap. Okay. But there's always some kind of symbolic thing in it for me. Okay. That kind of helps me see things from a different angle and see things deeper. So one of my friends was telling me, yeah, there's this belief there's 144,000 people on earth only. There's no more than 144,000 people, and all the rest of them are background actors. Yeah, it's kind of like they're not actually human. They're not actual humans. They are background actors and they just come in to do their part and stuff like that. They're doing their part for you. Okay, so I love that. That's great. That oh, how fun. Yeah, that was you. Leah, that was me. She was telling me about this thing. Yeah. So that sense, like there's only 144,000 of us, it's kind of like, hey, that's really cool because it's like, look at how you just meet the right people for awakening your mind. And the community doesn't seem very large, actually. I don't know if you guys have noticed this yet, but the community of people that you can connect with on that level doesn't actually seem to be very large. And there seems to be a bunch of people walking around with kind of like these blinders on, so it fits into that kind of scenario. Do I believe in it? No, I don't believe in anything. I don't believe in anything I say though. So it's just none of it's real. None of these things are real. It's a way of seeing. Everything's giving you a different way of seeing. So I think that's a really interesting thing. I think that's a really interesting way to look at it because everyone that comes into your experience isn't necessarily for you to connect with. Watch for attraction. Attraction is what means something. We feel these attractions toward these people, and a lot of the times a lot of people think it's sexual. A lot of people think it's the sexual attraction, and it's you could say on one hand it's all sexual attraction. There isn't anything else, because the sexual attraction is the same as the creativity that we are, and we're naturally attracted to each other. And does really, I mean, as platonic as I am with all of my friends, I don't know if platonic is the right word, but I'm not boning up with them. I'm not getting sexual with them. Okay. I'm not twisting their titties or putting fingers in them or anything like that. But we're close, me and my friends are close. But just noticing that sharing closeness with my friends, that's exactly what it is that we're meant to be having together. We're meant to be having this closeness because we have lessons for each other. Okay, we might even trigger each other, which is great. I love getting triggered by my friends. I do not hold that against them at all. I love getting triggered by my friends. And if a thought occurs to me that I don't like the way they treat me, maybe I won't hang out with them anymore. I know that's not my thought. I smile at that. I don't use it to condemn them. I also don't tell myself that I have to hang out with them either. But it's totally in the moment. And I know that it'll be right, whatever I seem to choose. So that thing about 144,000, the way it's interesting and helpful is that you don't have anything to try to, anything to try to like convert all these people or something. You don't have to like convert all the background actors will also change. And, you see this, the more I look, the more I see that there's this community, and, I'm not able to count them, but 144,000 actually seems reasonable for the community of people who are looking at this world in a way like, hey, this is not real. This world isn't real. The community of people doing that does seem to be pretty small. So that's fun. We're all meeting each other exactly as we need to. And I'll tell you too, from my point of view, I really have not met a background actor. I mean, each and every one of them, even if they're walking with blinders on, they seem all stressed out or something like that. Each and every one of them has a gift for me. So, my willingness to learn from each and every one of them. It's not about being like on a high horse or something, recognizing that someone's walking around with their blinders on. For one thing, they're not as we see them. We're only recognizing that for healing perceptions. So that's good. It's good for us. And we don't need to push anyone. Everyone's a background actor, right? And say it like that too. Everyone's a background actor. But we have these different stories about what it is. Like there's the end time story, and that's one I'm particularly fond of, the biblical one, just because I grew up with that one, and it's so exciting. We have these stories, and who knows how the stories are really going to look when they play out. They're all pretty similar, but slightly different, have slightly different bents on them. And the bottom line is they're showing us that there is an end to this. That's what the stories are showing. They're pointing to there is an end to all of this confusion. And really, remember how it only takes one. It only takes one of us. So all these different stories about the end of time and all that, it's just showing that it is, it's kind of like, use it as kind of guiding you on and encouraging that there is an end to time. Seems like a long, hard journey, but there is an end to time. And the end is coming soon. Once you're on this trajectory where, for one, you're listening to something like Wisdom Dialogues, where someone's telling you that it's time to wake up, and this world isn't real. Nothing is meaningful. Nothing matters in this world. Only love is real. If you're listening to that kind of information, and you're taking it to heart, and you're feeling it, you are certainly close of the end of time. Now you can make it go longer if you make it last longer by doubting that you're close. See? So it's like it's kind of like a balance like this. It's like an awareness that you're close, and it's also indefinite patience with it. Okay, because if you're not patient, you haven't seen yet how everything is a blessing. So that's a sight problem again. If you're not patient with it, you just haven't seen that everything is a blessing. You need to see. That's all. So that's why let me see comes in. Not let me get that thing or that guy or whatever. But let me see. So dropping all agendas in the world. Whoever is willing to do that is going to be so happy that they did that. All right. Let me know if there's anything else you would like me to cover. I am going to be signing out very soon. Okay, I love you. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Bob and Chita and Nael. Yay. Leia, of course. You sent me an image. Let's see. Ooh, pretty. Yay. Okay, so people are sending me messages. Let me see if this has to do with Wisdom Dialogues. I love you, Leia. Thank you. And Cynthia's saying hi to Lori, but I don't think Lori's on unless she's on somewhere else. Pain seeking, titty twisting, good times. Hooray. Thank you. Thank you, Glenn. Leia had such an awakening moment today. Do you want to share that with us, Leia? Oh, okay, she can. All right, well, we'll hear about it later then. Yay. Okay, so Wisdom Dialogues coming back next week again. Also, I'm going to post the one for Friday very shortly, probably this evening from Friday. Instagram, I'm coming back on Instagram probably tomorrow. I'm probably going to be back on Instagram tomorrow doing my wisdom bits. Been writing for Miracle Botanicals lately. You're going to start seeing some of that stuff come on the blog. If you want to join the newsletter, go to miraclebotanicals.com and sign up there. We have the best essential oils. You like essential oils. Also been playing with my book, writing in that too. writing for, also wrote something for hopejohnson.org. You want to see the most recent blog post. I hadn't done one in like 3 years and just did one. So you want to see the most recent blog post, you can go check it out, hopejohnson.org, look at the blog. Wisdom Dialogues, online and in person, going to the podcast stations, the in-person ones, and these online ones are going to YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, there are links down below to all the different ways you can follow me. Telegram, I don't know, all the different ways. In case some people like to follow me on all my different channels and go, I know what you're doing on all your different channels. So if you like that, go ahead. Leah, you look awesome as always. Thank you for sending me pictures of yourself. I love that. And until next week, you guys, thank you so much for joining. I love you so much. Mahalo, aloha, and a hui ho.